Hi and welcome back to Tales Against Humanity, r// I Don't Work Here Lady. In today's episode, a Karen and a loud comeuppance. Karen gets sent to the hospital. 15Y.O versus Karen's husband. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. A Karen and a loud comeuppance. So I have always been a very self-confident type of person, but also easygoing and always doing my best to be decent to people. I was just brought up that way. I also expect it from others, and have absolutely zero patience for people who think it's okay to act out or be blatantly rude. One afternoon I was at a Wally World, trying to do some shopping. I hadn't thought much about it, but I happened to be wearing the store's colors. A dark blue, button-up shirt, neat jeans and nice work shoes. I am a trucker and was wearing a shirt from my company. I just like to dress nice and look respectable and dress like this all the time. At any rate, I then hear it. A Karen in the wild. A forceful clearing of the throat. Ahem. Excuse me. I turned to look. And I kid you not. I wouldn't have believed anyone could look like the stereotype, but there she stood. Business attire and shoulder length, straight, platinum blonde hair. A huge the world bows to my whims attitude. She gazed at me sternly, her eyes steely, her demeanor as if she were about to berate a servant who had erred. I stared, silent for a moment, gathering back a swell of irritation at just seeing the attitude this lady had, then just simply blurted, "What?" She jerked back, incredulous, as though I had just slapped her. But she was also quick to recover, her look of steely-eyed, and now, very justified, outrage staring out at me from within her perfectly coiffed, straight, platinum blonde locks. Employees should not speak to customer in such a fashion, she informed me. Yes, she used those exact words, and did inform me as though I had done something very wrong by addressing such an important customer in such an impertinent manner. My brows just went up. That was all. But I said in a very level tone, "I don't work here." Then I turned away from her, just intent on going back to my shopping. "You do not turn away from me," she seethed from behind me, then went so far as to grab the back of my suspenders. I very calmly turned back around, looked down at her a sec. I'm 6 foot and she was like 5.5 or something, then I leaned down very close to her face. This was long before COVID, and began in a very low voice, I said. Then raising my voice to its loudest by the word, finished with, "I do not work here." By the time I was out with here, I was so loud I could have been heard all the way through the superstore. I even think I blew her hair back a little. The look in her face was wonderful. I'm sorry, she stammered. "I thought you were." I cut her off. Thought I was employee, yes. I was still dead in her face, my eyes now 10 times harder than hers ever could be. "Which you thought gave you the right to speak to me and treat me as though I was beneath you." I leaned in even closer. She stood, spellbound, a viper and mouse, she the mouse, me the viper. "Well, I got news for you, lady. Buying stuff from a store and spending a little money does not grant you license to abuse or belittle people." At which point, I straightened and then did turn on my heel and walked away from her. While she stood there gawping like a fish out of water, absolutely speechless. It was delightfully wonderful. Karen gets sent to the hospital. Disclaimer, I don't write all that good and on mobile, so do forgive the typos and mistakes. Karen. We all know what they're like. Me or I equals me. Cop 1 and Cop 2. Manager. And worker. It had started off as a good day until I went shopping at the local safe stay. With what's going on in the world, I was determined to not linger, and moved on about my shopping with purpose, not lingering anywhere unless I had to, such as in the case of pausing to read a label. I did pause to help one elder lady who asked me politely if I could get something off a top shelf for her. That was my mistake. I turned to go back to my shopping when I heard a "excuse me," the call of the wild Karen. Before I even turned, I popped out the words, "I don't work here," never did, turned as I spoke, and there before me was a living meme, every inch a Karen. "You helped that old hag," she screeched, "so don't try to tell me you don't work here." I helped her because she asked politely for my help. "You rude old witch, unlike you, you are rude, so you can just toddle off and take care of your own shopping, and by the way, I don't work here," I said sharply to her, turned and went back to my shopping, steadfastly ignoring her screeching and yelling. She followed me, all the while screeching for a manager. A worker approached to see what was going on and she yelled, not asked, full-on yelled at her to get a manager immediately. The worker scuttled off, not wanting to deal with an irate customer, to find a manager. Can't hold her to any blame here. It didn't take long for a manager to show up. She, the Karen, started yelling how I was rude to her and refused to help her while at work, blah blah blah. When she was informed that I'm just another customer, she went bats ***** crazy and got much louder, insisting that I do work there and she saw me helping someone else. It was then she made a huge mistake. I turned and stepped a few feet away to grab something I was getting anyways when she screeched a wordless "REEEEEEE" and charged after me. She made a grab for me, determined to see me punished for not being her servant of the moment. I dodged her easily and stepped aside, letting her rush past. When she did, she tripped and fell flat on her face and didn't immediately get up. I never touched her, she did it to herself. If that were the end, you all know I wouldn't have posted here. By the time she started to stir the police and an ambulance had been called, police arrived first, within 5 minutes, so must have been nearby. They were checking her over as best they could without moving her when she started stirring and trying to get up. Of course, she tried to say I shoved her and assaulted her, but the manager had already told them what happened. They would view the security footage when she had been seen to. She was a mess too, bloody all down her front once she was able to sit up, probably from a broken nose or teeth. I'll update if I find out. I wasn't cuffed as I was being calm and not angry. If anything, I was concerned for her. The paramedics arrived shortly after and did their thing and hauled her off on a gurney. Last thing she yelled is that she was suing everyone, very loudly and very rudely. I pointed at the ceiling and said, "Security cameras, good luck with your suit." The police took a look at the security footage, got my name, address, and phone number and sent me on my way. I'm puzzled at how nearly everywhere I go someone thinks I work there. Most people are polite and even apologetic when informed that I don't work there, but some, they make shopping or getting out a hilarious and annoying adventure. 15 Y.O versus Karen's husband. So during the case against Karen last week or so, I met Karen's husband, and after 4 hearings, the court ruled in my favor, levying a fine of PHP $15,000, $300 in fines to pay for my destroyed headphones replacement, and a 5-year prison sentence, with parole. I've edited the part 1 to include it. After 3 days, the court gave the news Karen's parole has been paid and that she's out. In protection, me and my mom went ahead with the restraining order to protect me, mom, our property, and pets from her in case she attempts to retaliate against me. Retaliation would come from her, but not directly. Her retaliation would be channeled via her husband, which I've had a habit to call a male Karen Ken, which I'll be using to mention him. Retaliation. So as I mentioned earlier, Ken was there during the case between me and Karen, which ended in my favor. I thought he was the quiet type as he sat out the cases, never saying a word, but that changed when someone opened our gate and, in my complete shock, as I was upstairs, kicked open a locked door of the hinges. Now I was at class, doing my turn on a news report. 10th grade history is now modern politics, and through my headphones, I heard a big bang, asked if I could excuse myself from class. Teacher agreed, went to check and heard him asking where was I. Needless to say, I didn't go down out of fear that I'll be beaten, locked my room, and pushed my small cabinet in front of the door, and dialed the emergency number, saying that someone kicked open the locked wooden door and was screaming and shouting threats and racial slurs, even calling mom AB*TCH and an WH*RE, in her house. Police arrived a few minutes later and pulled him into the cruiser, where they took my statement, my mom's statement, and his statement, and he was arrested on the spot. Me and mom agreed that we will charge him in retaliation to what the hell he did, and pushed forward for a court case. Now I have dogs, 3 of them, all of them are in cages. During the afternoon, as they hate the heat, and they normally sleep, they did bark at him, but it was only for a second before he kicked the door. Response. And another court case. Yep, we went to court again, same lawyer for me and mom, different judge, and Ken and his lawyer. We sued him on trespassing, property damage, on his verbal threats. He screamed at mom when he broke in, and thanks to the CCTV system mom applied to the house, the case was guaranteed in our favor, and got him prison for the next 5 years with parole. Earliest time parole can be paid is in 6 months, and probation for another 4 years. During that probation period, he is to serve 5,040 hours in community service, 210 days worth of time, and the confiscation of his driver's license during house arrest. And me? Well, I'm gone. No, not as in dead gone, as in I'm not living here anymore. Gone. I'm moving houses, and by next month, I'll be saying goodbye to my old home, Karen and Ken. Oh wait, I can't. I apologize to the late post, as I promised it last week. I'm very sorry, but life has been very hectic recently, and I've finally got myself a bit of breathing room, which is why the part 2 is shorter than part 1. Again, very sorry for a shorter and late delivery of part 2.